All signs point to this, as we have some huge Cowboys injury updates on a plethora of players. We'll tell you in this show when we could expect to see some of them back on the field, and the laundry list of an injury report the Cowboys have had this week. Welcome into Cowboys Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning in to today's show. As I mentioned, there is a laundry list this week on the injury report. It is absolutely kind of stifling how many injuries the Cowboys have. If you just take a look at this report, you think that like the plague hit the Cowboys, because goodness, this is one of the largest injury reports I have seen for a team. Just in general, forget Cowboys, any team in the NFL, it's kind of wild. Now, the good news is we have some pretty good news on a lot of these players. Talk about Tyler Booker in this video. We're going to talk about Joe Milton, Jonathan Mingo, talk about Jack Sanborn as well. The potential for a lot of these guys is to return this week. However, at the same time, there is an option for some of these guys to be out for a consecutive week. And the injuries continue to just kind of keep rolling in for whatever reason, one or another. So I ask the question to you, are you worried about these injuries? Is this something we should be worried about continuously, how the Cowboys have injury after injury? So how worried are you? Let me know your worriness in the comments section. I want you to scale this from a 1 to a 10. 10 being most worried, 1 being least worried. Let me know in the comments section. I'm personally at a 6. I think it's something to monitor just because it seems like it's been 2 years where the Cowboys continuously have a plethora of injuries. However, this is the NFL. There is a lot of injuries in this game, and it just happens to have struck in the Cowboys for consecutive weeks now. A lot of these guys were kind of minor injuries, concussions, small little sprains, stuff like that hopefully they should be back from soon, and that's kind of exactly what we are going to talk about in today's show. Let's go to our first update from Todd Archer talking about Tyler Guyton and Tyler Smith. Guyton was out last week with a concussion, and Smith was out with a knee. They're both on the practice field on Wednesday, where they're also both limited on the practice field on Thursday. Booker and CeeDee Lamb, they're going on rehab right now for their ankle sprains. Also got positive injury news on that front, but unfortunately, does look like Javonte Turpin and Donovan Wilson will not play this week. Miles Sanders also walked the locker room early. Remember, this is all on Wednesday, so now we can look at Thursday's participation list and kind of see how it looks. Javonte Turpin still did not participate. Donovan Wilson was limited, which is a huge thing, so the potential is for him to be back out there, which you kind of need given you don't have Malik Hooker. Wanya Thomas performed great, but Elijah Clark being called up. Obviously, Bell is another option at that safety position, but Wilson has been the mainstay at that position for a good time now. You really want to have him as a healthy piece on there. Continuing on, we look at Joe Milton. He did not practice Thursday. However, the reason was because of a birth of his child, so nothing really to note there. Also, an update on Dante Fowler Jr. He is back after missing Thursday with an illness. So Fowler out yesterday from practice. He's back today, looking like he should be good to go after having an incredible Week 5 game against the New York Jets. Glad to see our edge rushers on a healthy spot. Speaking of which, Schottenheimer actually just did update us on a couple of different players. Got this from Calvin Watkins literally moments ago, that he said it is likely that Tyler Guyton will start at Carolina and that he missed last week's game with a concussion, but it seems like he is trending towards playing this week, which is a very good thing. The offensive line, if you remember last week, was in a horrendous spot. I mean, it was kind of crazy the way that it looked. Nate Thomas, a 7th rounder, who played well. Not trying to go down on these guys. They all looked great, but the fact of the matter is you don't expect your offensive line to be filled with a 7th rounder, a 6th rounder, and 3 UDFAs. Now, Terrence Steele is a starter on this line normally, but still not something you expect. Speaking of which, we got updates on a couple of these guys, their starting counterparts, so we'll kind of continue on with that. Tommy Yarish kind of put this all into one tweet, got a whole plethora of this, but Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, we know that they're trending towards playing, especially Guyton. Mingo, he was out yesterday, but he didn't suffer a setback. He was just dealing with some soreness. They want to make sure to take it easy on him. And then obviously we know Milton and Fowler both were out yesterday, but will be at practice today. So looking at all these injuries, it seems like a lot of these guys will actually end up playing for the first time, or again this week against the Carolina Panthers. Something to look out for. I mentioned the offensive line. Cooper Beebe is back on the practice field. He's going to be out there doing some rehab. He missed the first 3 games here on injured reserve, and next week he is eligible to open that 21-day practice window. So the potential for him to return seems to be there, at least in the practice field. I doubt we're going to see him on the active roster, starting, or, forget starting, just in the roster at all until probably 2-3 weeks from now. 21-day practice window, that's 3 weeks, so you can expect to see him back somewhat soon, but at the same time, I think they're going to take it easy, especially when you talk about how good Brock Hoffman has been at that center position. So looking at the depth chart here on the offensive side of the ball, lots of injuries to look at. Going to need another good week from George Pickens and Ryan Flanoy. Pickens had some really positive words on Flanoy. Obviously, the offensive line, hopefully be back to a better position with Smith and Guyton back. Hope to see Booker back soon, along with Cooper Beebe. Otherwise, not too much to talk about. Injuries on the running back room. We know Miles Sanders potentially not going to play again. Jaden Blue continues to be inactive, though, so watch out for Hunter Lepke and Javonte to make the running game work again this week as they did in the week prior. A couple more injury updates. I want to talk about somebody who was on the thumbnail of today's video, and really excited to see when DeMarvion Overshown can make a return back to the Cowboys. Brian Schottenheimer said that we're getting close to his return. His quote was, "You don't have to worry about Demo. He's always going to be engaged. Demo is a guy that's going to beat most markers. I do think the timing is getting closer." I don't know how close that means. I really was hoping we were going to see him. Listen, the original injury report out on DeMarvion Overshown was that he was going to be back after Thanksgiving. So the fact that we are getting close, and it is, October 10th, is a very good sign. Do I think we'll see him before the end of the month? I still think that's questionable. I think the most likely scenario for Overshown is to play the first week of November. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean you're going to get a practice window open here soon? I can't really get too much into that, but the hope is we see him soon. He's a pretty important part, especially when you talk about Jack Sanborn, who was not at practice today on Friday, dealing with that concussion that he suffered in the Jets game. Good news is James looked good, had 15 tackles. I saw a couple comments saying, well, if you're a linebacker having 15 tackles, it means you weren't doing the greatest. I actually, on the contrary, think that it's a good thing. It means he was making the tackles when he was asked upon. Yes, I know it means they're probably getting past the defensive line, but I contend that Shamar James had a very good game, and I'm excited to see more of him. There's a very good linebacker group, let's put it that way, but at the same time, you would like to have DeMarvion Overshown to join this. You would like to, see Jack Sanborn in there. I have my whereabouts about Kenneth Murray. I really don't see him as a great linebacker. They made the move, they signed him, whatever, that's great, but overall, I'm still kind of looking and trying to see what the next move is for the Dallas Cowboys. So, tons of injuries on the offensive front. Gonna see a different offensive line in there for like the 4th consecutive week. It feels like we're gonna see if it'll be the first time we'll actually see Jaden Blue, and then past that, gonna look to George Pickens, gonna look to Ryan Flanoy for another big week. Once again, here is the injury report from Thursday. Probably going to be a good idea to see all these limited guys. Deron Bland looked to be good out there. Jadeveon Clowney looked fine. Cornelius Diggs looks fine. Houston looks fine. Nealon looked good out there today at practice as well. Smith, we know what's going on with him. Wanya Thomas looked good. Donovan Wilson was limited yesterday after being a non-participant. Hopefully should be good there as well. Really just a couple question marks on those did not participate. Not going to see Booker. Fowler looks like he's going to be fine. Not going to see CD. Milton's going to be fine. Mingo, I doubt, will be activated this week after it did not participate just because of a soreness issue. And then for Jack Sanborn, doubt we'll see him. And given Miles Sanders did not participate, I don't think we'll see him as well. So Jaden Blue, maybe? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We appreciate you watching here on today's video. We thank you for all the support on our latest shows, and we'll make sure to keep you updated on all things Dallas Cowboys. For now, though, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Peace out, guys.